I want to start off with an introduction of the Peacemakers and our mission, and then I'll go into the Night Walks training. The idea behind this was to give some guidelines on the Night Walks, do's and don'ts. It's going to give some overview and some purpose. And the intent is to start actually walking through the neighborhoods. We're here actually on site and streaming live via Zoom. We're on site here at Muaath Al-Khattab Alabamians, which is here right off of Mobile in Westgate, right across the parking lot from the West Side Baptist Church. So I'll pull up the slide here. I'll just go through some slides here. And again, this has been recorded, so this can be sent out. The intent is for tomorrow, the 31st at 6:30 p.m. at this same location to actually start going and walking through the neighborhoods and continuing and expand that through more places throughout the West Side and all through Montgomery. So just an introduction. My name is Muaath Al-Khattab. This here. Actually, let me share my screen. My name is Muaath Al-Khattab. I'm a community organizer here in Montgomery for Faith in Action Alabama. Just a quick, brief history of Faith in Action Alabama. It's a faith-based community organization. Started small with about 5 to 6 people in Birmingham in 2016. Now it's over 40 member congregations across the state. We have hubs in the 4 major cities in Birmingham, Huntsville, Mobile, and Montgomery. And we organize in areas in between those areas with religious institutions and different organizations and lay people. Our current campaigns overall, and a lot of the work that we do follow under these, which is community, safety, liberty, and democracy. And for the purposes of today's night walks, this goes on the community safety in regards to the Peacemakers. So the Peacemakers campaign is what it is: a group of people, people of faith across Montgomery and across the state, actually, but across Montgomery specifically for our hub, who are committed to gun violence reduction and advocate for evidence-based strategies and methods to reduce gun violence. These methods have been used across the nation, and also we're implementing these here in the state of Alabama and in Montgomery. The Peacemakers campaign is community-based, community-led, creates a roundtable, which is kind of an advisory board, or I guess you could say steering committee of several different coalitions of organizations and religious institutions. And we advocate for a funded anti-violence program. So just really quickly, the different parts of a violence intervention program. It is important that those who are government decision makers of the community understand that all parts of the violence plan need to be properly funded and are implemented for their city to see improvements in the community. So the different parts of the violence intervention program are prevention, interruption, and reentry. And I like to say, usually the prevention part, which is concentrates on youth and going to schools, is really concentrated on reentry after people are actually have already been impacted by the system, usually the judicial system and the criminal justice system, and getting those people returning citizens is a lot of times what people are called, and getting them back, transition back into the life and to society as productive members. Those 2 things are usually concentrated on. The Peacemakers is concentrating on or focusing on the interruption and or intervention part of the community violence intervention. So as you can see here, the community-based services, you have the interruption program, you have the reentry program. So one of the things that we've advocated for, and that we are happy that the city and the county have approved for the COVID relief funds, which is a hospital linked and community-based violence intervention program. So what that is, basically, it is when people are affected by gun violence, they have trauma from gun violence, they are in the hospital, they are immediately connected with those different services that are for their basic needs, but they are also connected with people to try to interrupt and stop retaliation and stop the circle of violence. As you can see here, the reentry is actually when people have already been gotten into the judicial system and been gotten incarcerated, either through prison or the juvenile system. And then after they are released, they are transitioned back into society. So that's the reentry part. Again, the Peacemakers concentrates on the interrupting the violence so it doesn't keep continuing in a cycle. So here, the community responsibility is, says here, God is love. And I would like to say God is the source of love. So although the main goal of this work is to reduce gun violence, the houses of faith, those religious institutions, have long been considered the place where one could experience the outpouring of God's love and compassion. It is our strong belief that the blessings of God should not be confined only to the walls of the religious institution. So really, we want what we hear on the pulpit and at the minbar on our religious days and in our religious institutions. We want that to be felt outside the walls of the religious institution, out into public square, out into the neighborhood, so people can actually realize that. And it should not just be within the place where we worship. And the Peacemakers believes it is the duty of the faith community to seek out people in their time of need so that they may feel the caring arms of God, to reach out in a manner that is life-giving and reflective of the love that God has for all of us. Community engagement, the development of a core group of faith leaders and just regular people is a necessity. It's a very important part of the Peacemakers campaign and initiative. It is through the development of these individuals that both community and institutional engagement takes place. Institutional meaning all those different public agencies that are a lot of time elected by the people in the communities. The leaders collect stories of the communities through meaningful engagement with those whose voices are most often ignored, and yet are closest to the pain that results from the violence in the community. So again, the Peacemakers, we want to connect with the people who are most at risk or most affected by community violence, or specifically gun violence. We want to hear from them, show genuine concern so that we can be their advocates and actually truly help them out. Leaders are also equipped through training and, on how to support their communities and advocate on their behalf, of their communities. Institutional engagement. So, and actually I'll just kind of skip. I want to get to the actual, so these are just some things here. You see the institutional side, which is the public agencies. You have local government, law enforcement, local hospital clinic, and so on. And the community side is the faith houses, the mosques, the synagogues, the churches, or masjids. Then you have the community leaders. You have the rabbis, priests, imams, reverends and pastors, and so on, elders. And then the night walks is something that we're going to specifically concentrate on today. The Peacemakers also has a victims response team, and so on and so forth. So let me get to the next one here. So this here, I'm going to actually go into the actual night walks training. Let's see. This actually has several slides. Just a moment. Okay, so the Peacemakers night walks. This is the training. I'll just go through this here. So the purpose of the Peacemakers, we seek to engage in addressing violence and victimization by identifying best practices and initiating policy changes to support communities. Our goal is to develop a comprehensive strategy with cities to focus on prevention, intervention, suppression, and enforcement initiatives. Strategies to be deployed in the cities are based on concepts of reconnecting disconnected citizens to the communities in which they live. It is a combination of existing program models that have shown to create optimum environments for developing healthy, risk-free, inclusive communities for all citizens. So basically, these different strategies have shown to reduce community violence, specifically gun violence, in places all across the nation, places in California, in Illinois, Michigan, I believe, Milwaukee, and also Florida. And so these strategies, they've actually done studies to show that a very comprehensive approach, including the night walks, have shown to reduce gun violence from 20, 30, even 40, even up to 50 and 60%. So the Peacemakers approach employs specific strategies to address youth and young adults who are drivers of violence in the streets and create a bridge for them to move into jobs and support services. So we want to basically be able to address the people who are most at risk, connect with them, and also give them an alternative, not just to point out the problem, but offer different services that people can choose a different path, basically. Community partners discuss with them their current choices and their future choices. Service agencies provide with them alternatives to the lifestyle of violence with living wage jobs, counseling, and community support. The Peacemaker strategy is not intended to be a comprehensive prevention model, but is one piece of the puzzle that has potential to significantly advocate for disconnected populations and reduce gun violence in the city. And just like I said before, we believe God is a source of love. So we want to make sure that the love and compassion that we know our Creator has for all of us is felt by people, even outside the walls of the religious institution. Not only are people cared for, we know that, God is not confined to the walls of our religious institutions. So we must exemplify as representatives and as believers in the Creator, and take that out into the streets. Not everyone's going to come to your religious institution. Not everyone's going to come to your mosque or your church or your synagogue. So we have to take that genuine concern for their well-being to them. We have to go out and meet with the people. The attitude and character befitting of a peacemaker. So these are some characteristics of a peacemaker. Desire to work with the people, not above the people. Respectful of the opinions of others, willing to create an arena of growth with a hands-off policy that allows correction or direction only when necessary. This creates an atmosphere in which people find it easy to grow on what God wants them to be, and in which the Spirit of God is at liberty to work, able to communicate and use discernment, so good judgment, able to empower those under their leadership by communicating the passion and vision that God has burned in their hearts, and able and courageous in making difficult decisions. A peacemaker's faith. We speak and communicate a positive message with love. We understand that some individuals may not be ready to accept the other's faith with open arms, and some may even reject any efforts that may resemble religion of any kind. We are there to demonstrate love and compassion. And we'll get actually into this in a little bit more detail in further slides. As ambassadors of each of our own faiths traditions, we realize that forcing people to believe in one way or another is not the most effective way to open people's hearts and minds. However, in speaking, all peacemakers are at liberty to speak of their faith traditions if asked. Peacemakers should seek to lead, to be led of their faith principles and to communicate effectively to each person that they come in contact with. So just really briefly, each person of faith, what we believe is in Faith in Action Alabama and as peacemakers is that your religious belief and your religious principles and your faith tradition is something that should fuel you and move you and motivate you to go out and do good and meet with people and connect with them. Now, specifically in Islam, we have a understanding that God is the only one who gives guidance and who actually changes people's hearts. It is our duty to speak the truth when asked and to implement it in our own lives and just educate people when they ask. Is my belief that we actually don't convert people. God changes people's hearts and we just put into practice what we believe is from the scripture and from God. And that example should be enough. And again, if while we're walking through, someone specifically asks one person about their faith, then feel free to share. But the goal again is to connect with people, not to convert people. So again, it says here, love and truth and not pressure. Our goal is to build lasting connections in the hearts of those with whom we work with. We achieve this goal by the challenge of conveying love and truth. We do not strive to achieve quick, short-lived success by pressuring people to do things that are not in their hearts. Understand the cause while looking at the effect. People's words, actions, and offenses stem out of their experiences in life. Therefore, we must always seek to listen to the deep inner need of the heart. Let us always work for God with full knowledge of the fact that the hurts of the past often cast grim shadow on the future when people have lost their ability to hope. So here, inviting people to church, uprooting people from other churches. So pay attention to this. It said, it is not the goal of Night Walks to encourage or influence any person to adopt our faith tradition, to leave their faith houses associated with Peacemaker, Faith in Action Alabama, or Night Walks. So we're not trying to, if people are already at some religion, a member of some religious institution, that's not our goal to bring them to ours. When peacemakers are made aware that a person is part of an assembly, congregation, or group of believers, they should not invite them to any type of faith service, nor say anything negative about the person's faith tradition or the faith house they attend. The only time a peacemaker may make an invitation to a specific church or religious institution is if an individual asks for a recommendation or there's a peacemaker event being held at a specific church and or religious institution. So basically, we're not out there trying to promote our different churches, mosques, synagogues, and so on and so forth. But of course, if people do ask whichever individual that they're talking to, they'll feel free to tell them. And again, a lot of times, Faith in Action Alabama, we have, like today, we're at a mosque. A lot of times we have our events at religious institutions, churches, and those places of worship. We're a faith-based organization. Respect for other ministries. It is unacceptable for any peacemaker to insult the integrity of any other ministry. If by chance another organization slanders Peacemakers, Faith in Action Alabama, Night Walks, or any of the associated churches, the response should be loving or remain silent. Rather than defend ourselves with inappropriate words, we will let our works speak for us. So basically, it's very possible when you go out to people, they might not be very welcoming. You might get cussed out, so and they might start talking bad about either what we're doing or the organization and or whatever. The best policy is basically to let it go. We don't want to return with insults to them, whatever faith they're with, if they are with any other faith group. But we want to basically our example to be our sign, I guess you could say. Actions speak louder than words in this context. That's our best model is our actions. So this is just kind of some, I guess you could say, attire guidelines. A t-shirt is fine. Modesty. In order to maintain a professional atmosphere, those in the business world often instruct their employees to exercise discretion in the way they dress. It is imperative, or it's very important, that we do not send mixed messages by our appearance. We must remember that in outreach work, we will come in contact with people who have diverse and complex problems. We do not want our conduct or our appearance to hinder our ability to connect. And I believe here, and it might get in more detail, we don't want to go with flashy clothes and very expensive clothes. Just we want to look very very normal. We don't want to, go wearing, expensive jewelry and watches and expensive shoes and clothing. We just want to, look quote unquote regular, I guess. Always limit the amount of jewelry or display of expensive personal items to a minimum. More specific dress requirements are no skirts, no shorts, no short shorts, no suits. Dress comfortably and casually. Closed-toe shoes are required, but tennis shoes are recommended. So what you say, show respect, you're a visitor whenever we're going into the neighborhood. Say we're guests. Our goal is to engage people in their environments and comfort zones in the most respectful ways possible. Peacemakers are not to project at any time their personal belief system onto anyone that they may encounter on walks. Now walks are judgment-free zones. We're simply there to listen, learn, and love. So we are not going to judge folks, tell them how bad they are, or how good we are, and how good we think we are. Let me put it like that. We're going there to connect with people out of true concern. Harmful conversation, backbiting, rumors, speaking evil of one another, and gossip are tools that bring division. Complete love and respect must be shown to all who volunteer, as well as the people whom we encounter. Our basic principle is, if you will not say those words in the person's presence, do not say them in their absence. So be respectful, of course. And again, no backbiting, rumors, and speaking bad about each other and gossip. Avoiding improper conduct. For the sake of avoiding the appearance of evil and being watchful of any potential snare, it is the policy of night walks to not be alone with any individuals being engaged of the opposite sex, or with any minor child under the age of 18. It's preferred that everyone stay paired up or go in groups of 3 or 4. Never give out personal information also. So again here, we want to make sure we are being appropriate. So go in groups. People of the opposite sex shouldn't just be those one person with that person. We want to make sure that everything is appears and is actually on the up and up in an appropriate manner. This also is not an opportunity to either exchange numbers with people for hookup, nor use language that is inappropriate. And a lot of these guidelines, I think, were put together just out of experience and extreme caution. We're trying to avoid any bad situations to come up. So that's why all these guidelines are here. Respect of privacy. Total respect of privacy must be given to everyone we come in contact with. Peacemakers will not discuss the following with anyone except the team leaders or co-chairs. Contact information, phone numbers, email address, social network, physical address, a gang affiliation, any other information deemed personal. Peacemakers are not to share any information about individuals which whom they have contact with any law enforcement agency. The only exception is if confidentiality release form has been signed by the individuals authorizing the release of information. So again, we are going into the community because we want to establish a connection, a bond, a relationship, and we want to establish trust. So we're not going in there as a law enforcement arm and or I don't want to use the word informant, but basically it's community members and it's religious leaders and lay people all going in there to meet with the community. So we don't go through the neighborhoods with law enforcement. Giving. Peacemakers are advised not to hand out money. If a peacemaker wants to give aid or help, it is better to ask the person what they need and direct them to the appropriate resources, such as giving them detailed information about the peacemaker hotline. Handing out cash is not generally conducive to build healthy relationships with the people we are connecting with. It is also important to point out that many people begging for money have addiction issues, which are often supported by well-meaning misguided individuals. So it is a practice that we're not out trying to give out money and or gifts or anything, but we do want to be able to, because this is supposed to be, the night walks is supposed to be a weekly thing, we can come back and give them, if we have, say cards or resource cards that can help people, whatever situation, we can hand those out. Or we can say, we'll be back next week and we can tell you about whatever resources that are available to help to different people. Politics. Peacemakers has no political agenda, represents no political party, and backs no political candidate. So the Faith in Action Alabama, we're nonpartisan. We are a nonprofit, and we don't back any particular political party. We're nonpartisan. So again, here, no political agenda. We represent no political party, and we back no political candidate as the group representing the Peacemakers. Peacemakers have strong political opinions. Peacemakers who have strong political opinions are asked to refrain from voicing their political views while on the walks. Our focus is reduce violence and community building. So again, the structure of the night walks is we begin with prayer and we close with prayer. It's open to anyone, laborers who have a heart for outreach. Age to open, all minors are the sole responsibility of the person who brings them. Dress code casual, should be like jeans, t-shirt, jogging pants, tennis shoes. Walking guidelines is pair up with a team member, ladies especially. Use discretion when approaching vehicles. Use discretion when approaching a group of people from the opposite sex. Use discernment and good judgment in prayer. Appropriate touch, someone's eyes shouldn't be open. I guess this is, this may be specific to certain religious groups. It's not necessarily, at least for Muslims, it's not necessarily that you have to close your eyes. So, but so that's that could be, case by case, I guess you could say. Try to limit conversation with individuals 2 to 5 minutes. Use discretion. When ministering to youth, conversation should be limited and a parent should be present. When offering flyers or cards, be kind and smile. Initiate brief conversation. Always give flyers or cards when people are leaving businesses. Do not leave flyers on windshields or vehicles. Never put anything in the mailbox. And then we have some examples here of what to say. But for the most part, I think the guidelines have been shared. Again, the main thing is not to try to convert people. The main thing is to get to know the people and their concerns. Our motto is listen, learn, and love. So listen to the people, become their advocates, and really go out there and establish a relationship
and it's community building, really. And then night walks is just one component of the Peacemakers overall approach to reducing violence in the community, in the city, and across the neighborhoods. So again, let's see here. Are you? I don't see it. Okay, I don't. Okay. Okay. So again, our intention and I'll send out a flyer again. Let me see if I can. I have the training flyer, but our intention was to at least give the guidelines and then actually start our night walk tomorrow, Monday, October 31st at 6:30 here. We can meet, at the parking lot of between Westside Baptist Church and Masjid Al-Alabamians, and then just start walking through the neighborhood. We do have Peacemaker vests. Got about a dozen of them. Since we will be walking in the evening, and the general schedule is we walk every week just for an hour through the neighborhoods, trying to engage with the people in the neighborhood and hopefully become a familiar face. And as we can do this with consistency, we do it every week without fail, with the exception of bad weather and holidays also, if it falls on a holiday. But other than that, we want to do these walks in the evening for 1 hour every week in the same neighborhood. And as the more people join and groups get bigger, there can be more groups that start in different neighborhoods and different sides of town, and hopefully throughout the city and the state. Birmingham our Birmingham hub has been doing night walks. I know they had a pause during COVID. Huntsville also they're doing night walks, and Mobile also is doing night walks. So we want to do that here in Montgomery as one component of trying to reduce violence in our communities. Thank you so much. And I will, again, I will send this recording out with more information on the night walks with specific locations, so on and so forth. Thank you all so much. Have a good day.